In the quiet fields outside Marianna, Arkansas, there stands a church that once held a whole world inside its walls. A church that echoed with songs of hope, laughter, and struggle, until one day the voices stopped. This is the story of Peter Rock AME Church, a house of worship that rose from the red clay of the South, only to fall into silence. A place that reminds us, when a church dies, what happens to the soul of the community it once held together. Long before the highways and the quiet abandonment, there was life here. In the early 1900s, a group of African American families settled on the outskirts of Marianna. Sharecroppers, teachers, small farmers, they built their own church with their hands and hope. Peter Rock African Methodist Episcopal, named after the apostle who was called the rock upon which faith would stand. For 70 years, it stood strong. Sunday mornings meant pressed shirts, tambourines, and the smell of fried chicken waiting at home after service. It was more than a church. It was the center of everything. Baptisms, weddings, funerals, meetings about freedom, about the future. Inside those wooden walls, people believed they could rise above history itself. And for a while, they did. By 1960, time had worn the building down, but not the faith. The congregation rebuilt Peter Rock, brick by brick, prayer by prayer. It wasn't grand, but it was theirs. The new church stood as the civil rights movement swept through the South. Here, voices spoke of dignity, of courage. Young men and women came to pray for strength before marching in nearby towns. The choir sang louder then, not just hymns, but freedom songs. For 30 more years, Peter Rock was the beating heart of this corner of Arkansas, until slowly, one by one, the pews began to empty. It wasn't one moment. It was time, quiet, patient, unstoppable. Factories closed, farms sold. Families moved north in search of work, and with every departure, another light went out inside Peter Rock. By the 1990s, only a handful remained. The last service was small, just a few voices and a piano that was slightly out of tune. When they sang Amazing Grace that final Sunday, it wasn't a farewell. It was a thank you. Then the doors were locked. The building began to fade, windows broken, weeds growing through the floorboards. The wind carried the last echoes of its choir into the Arkansas night. Now the roof sags, the paint peels, and vines wrap around the steeple like memories refusing to let go. Inside, sunlight falls through holes in the ceiling, like divine reminders that even ruins can be holy. The pews are gone. the pulpit still stands. And if you listen closely, the air still hums faintly, as if the walls remember the rhythm of 100 Sunday mornings. This isn't a haunted place. It's a sacred silence, the kind that holds both sorrow and gratitude. Peter Rock AME Church was more than a building. It was proof that even the smallest community could carve its name into the land. When we lose places like this, we lose more than architecture. We lose our anchors, the spaces that taught us how to gather, how to forgive, how to belong. Maybe faith never truly disappears. Maybe it just changes form, from song to silence to memory. This is another story of Dark Atlas File, and subscribe before the next forgotten story opens.